Money is not what people think it is. It is not freedom, not success, not even wealth in the truest sense. Money is a mirror. It reflects who you are, magnifies your character, and exposes your weaknesses. Niccolò Machiavelli understood this centuries ago. He warned that if you fail to see how money shapes behavior, distracts minds, and controls allegiances, you will become enslaved by it even as you believe you are free. Money itself has no soul. It merely reveals the soul of those who hold it. Carl Jung once wrote, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Nowhere is this more visible than in how people handle wealth. The unconscious drives their spending, their boasting, their fear of loss. And what they call financial success is often just fate disguised as poor self-awareness. Look around you. A man suddenly becomes rich. A woman inherits fortune. A company raises millions overnight. At once, their behavior changes. They speak louder, walk taller, spend carelessly as if money itself has transformed them. But Machiavelli would say the truth is simpler. Money has not changed them. It has only magnified what was always there. The coward hides behind luxury. The manipulator uses generosity as a weapon. The fool purchases symbols of wisdom he has not earned. Wealth does not create these traits, it exposes them. Money is not character, it is the magnifying glass of character. Friedrich Nietzsche observed, "Many are stubborn in pursuit of the path they have chosen, few in pursuit of the goal." People chase money believing it is the goal. But money is not the goal. It is the test. The real pursuit is discipline, reputation, and presence. Those who master these create power whether rich or poor. Those who do not remain weak even when wealthy. This is why Machiavelli insisted that money must never be mistaken for power. It is only the signal of power, never the source. True power is when people adjust themselves before you even speak, not because of your bank account, but because of your mind, your will, and your restraint. Consider how kings were judged. They did not fall because of poverty. They fell because they mistook their gold for fear, their treasures for loyalty. But wealth alone inspires envy, not obedience. It is structure, mystery, and influence that command respect. So the first law of money is this: do not chase wealth to feel powerful. Chase power itself, discipline, patience, strategy, and let money follow as proof of mastery. Because there is nothing more fragile than a man who is rich but not respected. A man who owns things but commands no presence. Marcus Aurelius once reminded himself, "You have power over your mind, not outside events." Realize this, and you will find strength. Money is an outside event. It comes and goes, rising and falling with fortune. If you build your identity on it, you build on sand. But if you build on inner strength, money becomes a tool, nothing more. This is the beginning of wisdom about wealth. Not to learn how to earn it, nor how to spend it, but how to see what it reveals. Because in the end, money is not a prize. It is a mirror. And the reflection it offers will tell you more about yourself than about the numbers in your account. Wealth has always been a double-edged sword. When hidden, it protects. When displayed, it attracts envy, greed, and attack. The moment you flaunt it, wealth stops being an asset and becomes a liability. Niccolò Machiavelli warned of this clearly. He observed that rulers who flaunted their riches too openly invited conspiracies. It was not their gold that made them fall, it was the envy their gold inspired. To be feared for strength is protection. To be resented for wealth is danger. Carl Jung once wrote, "The shoe that fits one person pinches another. There is no recipe for living that suits all cases." The same applies to wealth. What is harmless to one becomes threatening to another. Your success does not live in isolation. It awakens shadows in those around you. And when those shadows rise, Your wealth becomes the mirror that reflects their hunger. Nietzsche noted, "In every real man, a child is hidden that wants to play." To flaunt wealth is to indulge that child, to play with symbols of power without understanding their cost. But the wise know that money is not for play. It is for defense, for leverage, for strategy. Every coin displayed is a signal sent, and signals cannot be recalled once released. Think of how history repeats this lesson. Kings built golden palaces only to be overthrown by hungry peasants. Merchants flaunted wealth only to be extorted by rulers. Modern millionaires post luxuries online only to invite theft, scams, or ridicule. The pattern is the same. Display leads to exposure, exposure leads to weakness. Carl Jung also warned, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Those who flaunt wealth often do so unconsciously to cover insecurity. They mistake visibility for strength. But true strength does not explain itself, and true wealth does not parade itself. To display is to reveal need, and need is weakness. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Be content with what you are and wish not to change." But the one who flaunts wealth is not content. He craves recognition, applause, validation. He is not showing riches, he is confessing insecurity. And insecurity, once seen, invites exploitation. This is why concealment is the first rule of power. The less others know of your wealth, the more protected it becomes. Mystery guards you better than walls. Ambiguity deflects envy before it forms. Silence shields you from predators who hunt by sight. Consider the contrast. The braggart with a luxury car draws resentment at every glance. The quiet man with invisible investments controls without noise. One attracts envy, the other builds leverage. One spends energy defending, the other spends energy expanding. To flaunt is to fight endless battles you created yourself. To conceal is to move freely, unencumbered by others' eyes. Power lies not in the gold that shines, but in the gold unseen. So remember this. What you reveal invites control. What you conceal preserves freedom. And in the game of wealth, defense is not found in walls of stone, but in walls of silence. Wealth without discipline is like a fortress without walls. It looks impressive from a distance, but the moment pressure arrives, it collapses. Money alone has never guaranteed safety. It is discipline, the ability to govern yourself, that transforms wealth into lasting security. Niccolò Machiavelli wrote that fortune favors those who prepare with order and vigilance. Luck may give you riches, but only discipline preserves them. He warned that rulers who lacked restraint squandered their treasuries on vanity, while disciplined leaders multiplied strength quietly, invisibly, and effectively. Carl Jung echoed this truth in psychological terms. He said, "The world will ask you who you are, and if you do not know, the world will tell you." Without discipline, money dictates who you are. It tells you what to buy, how to live, and what to chase. But when you master yourself, money bends to your will instead of enslaving it. Friedrich Nietzsche observed, "He who cannot obey himself will be commanded." Wealth magnifies this law. The man who cannot govern his impulses becomes prisoner to his own fortune. His spending, his indulgence, his lack of restraint, these enslave him more than poverty ever could. But the man who disciplines himself commands wealth, rather than being commanded by it. Consider the lives of lottery winners. Many go bankrupt within years not because they lacked money, but because they lacked discipline. The sudden surge of wealth only magnified their inability to manage it. What should have been freedom became ruin. This is the difference between having money and having mastery. Carl Jung warned, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Most people spend not from choice, but from compulsion. They call it lifestyle, but it is unconscious hunger. They call it generosity, but it is fear of being insignificant. Until discipline brings these motives into light, money will continue to leak through their hands like water. Marcus Aurelius advised himself daily, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this and you will find strength." Wealth is one of those outside events. Its flow is uncertain, its permanence fragile. But discipline, forged within, is immovable. It is the anchor that steadies fortune when storms arrive. History is full of disciplined figures who understood this law. Roman generals who lived with simplicity despite their conquests. Philosophers who owned little but ruled their minds completely. Merchants who reinvested carefully, building dynasties that outlived empires. Their wealth endured not because it was vast, but because it was governed. Discipline transforms money from a fleeting possession into a durable tool. It keeps greed in check, vanity restrained, and fear controlled. It builds habits that compound wealth quietly, while others exhaust themselves in spectacle. It protects you not only from poverty, but from the more dangerous poverty of character. So remember this: wealth is not measured by the size of your account, but by the strength of your control. Without discipline, fortune enslaves you. With discipline, you enslave fortune. And the man who governs himself will never truly be poor, even if the gold slips through his fingers. Wealth is never only about numbers in an account. It is about perception, trust, and belief. True wealth is not just what you own, it is what others believe you own, what they believe you can create, and what they believe you can protect. Niccolò Machiavelli warned that rulers live and die by reputation. Gold could be stolen, armies could be defeated, but reputation, once established, could hold power even in the absence of material strength. He wrote that appearances often matter more than reality because people act not on truth, but on what they believe to be true. Carl Jung echoed this from a psychological lens. The world will ask you who you are, and if you do not know, the world will tell you. In wealth, if you do not shape your reputation, others will shape it for you. Your fortune will not be defined solely by possessions, but by perception. This is why markets rise and fall not on facts alone, but on confidence, trust, and belief. Friedrich Nietzsche observed, "Sometimes people don't want to hear the truth because they don't want their illusions destroyed." In finance, this illusion is reputation. A respected name can borrow endlessly, while a disgraced one cannot raise a single coin. It is not the balance sheet that matters first, it is the story people believe about it. History reveals this pattern with clarity. Merchants in Venice extended credit not just because of wealth in hand, but because of the reputation of reliability. Dynasties rose not from treasure alone, but from trust that they would honor debts, protect allies, and endure crises. Even today, billion-dollar valuations rest more on reputation than reality. Investors do not only buy assets, they buy belief. Carl Jung also warned, "Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate." Reputation operates in this unconscious realm. We often underestimate its weight, yet it silently directs opportunities, alliances, and survival. A man may hold vast fortune, but if his reputation falters, doors close, alliances collapse, and his wealth turns brittle. Marcus Aurelius reflected, "If it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it." This principle underlies durable reputation. A fortune built on deceit may glitter for a time, but it carries the seed of collapse. Only character sustains reputation, and only reputation sustains fortune. Consider two men of equal wealth. One is trusted, the other is doubted. The trusted man can raise capital, attract allies, and expand influence with ease. The doubted man must defend, explain, and justify at every turn. Wealth without reputation is fragile. Reputation without wealth is still powerful. But when the two align, influence becomes unstoppable. So remember this. Money can be counted, but reputation is measured in perception. And perception, though intangible, often outweighs fact. Protect it, cultivate it, and let it speak for you. Because in the end, the richest man is not always the one with the largest fortune. He is the one whose name alone commands trust. For most of history, people have chased money as if it were freedom itself. They believe that once they reach a certain sum, they will finally be safe, respected, and whole. But the truth is harsher. If your sense of self depends on money, then you do not own wealth. Wealth owns you. Arthur Schopenhauer once wrote, "Wealth is like seawater. The more we drink, the thirstier we become. Money cannot quench the thirst for meaning. It expands appetite, magnifies craving, and chains you more tightly to what you thought would liberate you." The man who depends on fortune for identity will always need more, because his very self is built on something fragile and fleeting. Carl Jung explained why with piercing clarity. Until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. Many pursue wealth not from conscious choice, but from unconscious hunger, the need to prove worth, to escape fear, to mask emptiness. They call it ambition, but it is compulsion. And so, even when they succeed, they remain enslaved. Friedrich Nietzsche observed, "He who has a why to live can bear almost any how." Freedom is not found in riches, but in purpose. A man with purpose can endure poverty with dignity. But a man without purpose will drown in luxury and still feel empty. Money without meaning is a golden cage. History offers countless lessons. Kings who hoarded wealth but lost their kingdoms. Magnates who built empires but died restless. Celebrities who gained everything the world could give yet confessed they felt nothing inside. In each case, money was not freedom. It was noise masking the silence of a hollow self. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself, in your way of thinking." Freedom begins not with abundance, but with sufficiency. When you no longer need to prove your worth through possessions, you begin to taste real wealth, the wealth of time, of clarity, of inner peace. Carl Jung also wrote, "The privilege of a lifetime is to become who you truly are." This is the highest freedom. Not to buy more, but to need less. Not to chase validation, but to live in authenticity. Not to serve wealth, but to let wealth serve you. When money becomes a tool rather than a master, you finally hold it without being held by it. So what is the true measure of wealth? It is not how much you have, but how little you need to prove yourself. It is not what you display, but what you could conceal and still remain whole. It is not freedom purchased, but freedom revealed, when the chains of dependence break, and you stand complete with or without gold. The paradox is this: the moment you stop using money to prove who you are, you prove you have mastered it. The moment you stop chasing wealth as freedom, you discover freedom in yourself. And that freedom is the only fortune no thief, no crisis, no market can ever take away. So remember this: money is not freedom. You are. And when you no longer need wealth to define you, that is when you finally own it.